Welcome to the Strictly Business Podcast. I'm your host, Josh Grodzin, and we are coming to you from Elk Grove Village, Illinois, home to the nation's largest industrial park. The Strictly Business Podcast brings you news and information about the village's diverse business community, highlighting the people and companies that create, invest, and live in Elk Grove Village. All right, welcome back to another Strictly Business Podcast. I'm really excited today because we have a bigger group than normal. We have three business experts from Elk Grove Village. Jeff, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, and we'll go around the table real quick.
Thanks, Joss. My name is Jeffrey Taylor, and I'm the Vice President and General Manager at a company called Crafts Technology, located on Joey Drive off of Higgins. Crafts Technology has been around since about 1893. And their expertise is in ultra-hard materials for industrial use, cutting tools, polycrystalline diamond, tungsten carbide, very hard materials like wedding bands, hard like those tungsten carbide. So we are an ESOP just 3 years ago. My first day at the company was as an ESOP. And an ESOP is an employee stock ownership plan where all the employees buy out the principals. So we're 100% employee owned.
That's
so
great.
That's the short of Crafts.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Michael.
Hi, I'm Michael Geringer. I'm the president of Arctronics. Arctronics is an electronic manufacturing services company. My father started in 1972, kitty corner from Wrigley Field, little basement operation there. In 1976, we moved out to Joey Drive was our first building. We got a 6,000 square foot facility there. And in 1980, we moved into a 30,000 square foot facility on Pagney Drive. So we got another 20,000 square foot facility across the street from our main plant. Have 150 employees, and been here for 40 years in Elk Grove. So
that's great.
Yeah.
Okay, my name is Ann Gruber. I am the president of both Ashland Lock and Security Solutions, which is a security provider that does access control, integrated IP camera-based systems, or video intercom. That company's been in existence since 1963. I've been a principal for 25 years. And my other company here in Elk Grove is Ashland Door Solutions. We do commercial doors, frames, hardware, so we could deal with everything that pertains to the door opening as far as securing it and monitoring it. And that company I've had for 7 years. And so we are just learning to grow. We moved into Elk Grove last June.
Great. We have a lot of experience at the table, which is really interesting because I think all three of you are somewhat at different stages in your company. I might be wrong. I know a little bit about your company because I visited you before. I know, Jeff, you're taking over, transitioning into leadership of a company that's been around, as you said, for over 100 years.
That's right, yeah. The principals owned the business for about 13 years prior to selling out, and they're in advanced age, and
hope they don't hear that.
No, they've done a tremendous job building a really valuable business and an employee buyout in that process. Doing the succession planning and just kind of preparing for the next decade and two decades, and so that's where I am, just coming in. I'm about 2.5 years into that transitioning process right now.
Yeah, and I'm sure that's definitely has to be a big challenge for you. Unlike Michael, in your business, family-owned business, been here for many years. What's the history of that and challenges you face with growing that business?
Well, we've said my father started in 1972. I've got two brothers and a sister who are involved in the business. Unfortunately, my dad passed away just a couple months ago in July. Passed away on July 2nd was the date he founded the company back in 1972. But so we're dealing with some things right now. There's some federal laws that are being introduced right now that are going to affect family businesses and how they can pass down the ownership of the company, which will really have an impact on family businesses. So we're staying abreast of that information. It's not a law yet. We're working with a couple of our trade associations. The National Association of Manufacturers, NAM, is a very big lobbyist in some of the laws that are affecting manufacturers in particular. And along with the IPC, which is our trade association for the electronics industry, I attend their lobbying efforts in Washington, D.C., when there's laws that are getting introduced that really impact the manufacturing environment.
You know, what's interesting is with small businesses, one of the things that we've been dealing with in our company is we've looked at ESOPs. We've talked about succession planning. Like, how do you keep a small business going is a real problem.
Yes.
And you want to make sure it doesn't just end with you. You in the family business, there's even more of an impetus because you also have to make sure that there's also family to pass it down to. The ESOP is, you know, one way to succession plan out. I've actually talked to my accountant about an ESOP because you want to make sure that it continues, that you spend your whole life building something, you put your heart and your soul into it. How do you make sure that it perpetuates over time? And there's so many challenges, whether it be tax law or federal law, or, you know, and it's difficult to figure out how to navigate it. It's something I struggle with all the time.
You talk about federal law and tax law. It's funny, I brought this. I figured this topic would come up. Of course, the legal landscape is always part of running a business. We just did some training with some senior counsel at a human resources management type company, and they gave me this document here that details all the types of discrimination by federal law. But then there's a second page for Cook County. I mean, you talk about federal and state, and then just within Cook County, I would ask people, most people, you would say, oh, they were fired and there was age discrimination involved, and they think of people at 60 years old or something like 70 or 90 or something. They're thinking, you know, somebody near retirement age. Do you know what the legal classification is for somebody to be discriminated against by age? What age it is?
No.
40 years old. You can file an age discrimination suit if you're over 40 years old. Now that, I mean, practically, no, I read it and I'm like, I think I should have known that. 40, I'm like, I'm covered. I'm in a legal class. I'm a protected class. I felt good about it. But it's funny, and then you look in Cook County, and again, trying to stay abreast of all the laws that impact you. This is just a simple example. If you're pregnant, you're covered. Your marital status. If an individual is married, single, separated, divorced, or widowed, if you don't hire somebody because he's single and therefore not responsible, you know, if you kind of make
Right.
that claim that they're not very responsible, that's a protected class, being single. You can't, you know, be discriminated. This is Cook County now. You can't be discriminated against that. These are great laws in that, you know, I think we all use our logic. You don't want to discriminate against anybody, but it's funny. It's beyond what we just think and talk about. I mean, there's a whole legal landscape that you either have to go to Washington, D.C., or you got to go to your legislators about, I mean, to try and make sure that, you
It's
know,
a minefield.
It's a minefield, yeah.
Because as an owner, you're trying to do the right thing. I mean, I'm always trying to do the right thing. I'm making my books are always super, you know, organized, transparent. I tell my bookkeepers all the time, if we're ever audited, I want to come through this process squeaky clean. We actually got audited for sales tax was it last year? I think it was last year, right before the move. And she came in, she sat down, she said, I'm going to be here for a week. 2 days in, she said, I've never, one, had books this organized, and two, by the way, the state owes you money.
Oh,
Which, you know, and I said, does this happen very often? And she said, no, that doesn't happen very often. But I mean, you know, as an owner, you're trying to do the right thing. I really believe that
Yeah.
if you start a small business, you've put your heart into it, you're not really in it for, you know, I mean, I could go downtown Chicago and probably make more money than I do as a small business owner with a lot less headache and a lot less
Sure.
stress and a lot less sleepless nights. But, you know, you want to do the right thing.
Right.
And it's a minefield.
and OSHA and everything.
There's
and you're,
all- right.
And you know, it's the old axiom, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. It's like, you know, even when you have great intentions, even when you're smart, even when you feel up to date, you know, I'll get an email and it'll just have OSHA and OSHA new law, and I'm like, I can't read it. I don't know what it is now, the new one, or something come out. So I mean, that's a big part of your business time investment. So
Yeah.
in order for you to have executed and come out as clean as you did and as righteous
Right.
as you did, there's a lot of time. You invested a lot of
time
energy in
and
that,
money.
I'm sure. It didn't
Yeah.
just happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I mean, I felt pretty confident going into it because I thought, well, we're a random hat draw on this one. And this is when we were actually in DeKalb County. So it was, you know, through that county that we were being audited. And I felt pretty good about it. But at the same time, there is that level of anxiety. So I sat with the bookkeeper and went through everything and just said, did we miss anything? are we missing anything? We can't miss anything. And, I think there were probably like three certificates of exemption for, not paying sales tax for somebody. And we went and got them, and it was fine. But, at the same time, you're right. I think we spent a week combing through to make sure that we weren't missing any scrap of paper backup, because everything supporting what we had represented had to be there.
I really want to thank the three of you for participating. I thought we had a great conversation. I barely had to talk, which is great. You're the experts.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
So
for
thank you
having
very
us.
much.
Thank you, Josh.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Josh.
If you want to learn more about Elk Grove Village's business opportunities, please visit our websites, makerswanted.org and egvbizhub.com. If you have comments or feedback about the show, please send it to us at strictlybizpodcast@gmail.com.